Okay, so I would like to welcome everyone to the Mansfield Area Chamber of Commerce 2020 City Council Candidate Forum. So we're going to go ahead and get started immediately. We have previously drawn for which group of candidates are going to go first. They will have 1 minute for their answer to the question. We have Miss Joni Pace from Golden Mechanical, who is our timekeeper today. So she'll keep us on track. And we are going to get started. So I'm going to start with Todd Tenori. And the first question that I want to ask you is, what in your opinion is the single most pressing issue facing the city? And how do you propose to address it? And how would you work with the rest of the council to achieve that vision?
Single most pressing, I feel like, is figuring out ways to reduce our overall tax base. And as a business person in town, I feel like I can help recruit businesses in town. It will actually reduce our overall tax base. Working hand in hand with the chamber naturally and MEDC and our city staff to get the right businesses in here that will provide employment for our young people and our citizens. We have an interesting dynamic in Mansfield right now. I feel like if you live in Mansfield, there's a strong possibility that you actually work elsewhere. And if you work in Mansfield, there's a strong possibility that you actually live elsewhere. And we need to change that dynamic, especially for our kids and our grandkids. So I feel like that's going to be something I'm going to be focused on.
Okay. Phil?
Hi, good morning. I agree that is one of the issues that's pressing for the city. I think that understanding the rate of growth within the city is another one that's really important. And that's not to say to either stymie or accelerate, but to understand where it's going and to make sure that we've got a bandwidth that we're staying within when it comes to that growth. And that's both in not just housing, but businesses in various ways to make sure that we've got the underlying infrastructure in place and that we're ahead of it and not falling behind. Once we get in a position of being behind with infrastructure on the growth, then we're in real trouble.
Okay. All right. And for our second group, we're just going to go ahead and come this way like we did there. So Chandler, this will go to you. There's only so much land left for development, and once that's gone, it's gone. Give us your vision of how you would like to see that remaining undeveloped land in Mansfield utilized, and what are your guiding principles on making land use decisions?
Well, we're built out about 73% now. And so what we're going to have to do is look into areas of land that we do have left. We need to rely on our land use for that. However, we do need to look at modifying our land use a little bit to be more in line with what our ordinances are. So what does our planning and zoning ordinances say as far as that's concerned? And then we need to look at, as a city, what do we want here? Okay, on that piece of land, what are we looking at that makes the best and highest use of that property? We need to look at if someone's coming here, what they're going to offer to us as a community, what they bring as far as employment, what they're going to bring as far as goods that will help our local government, and so our local economy as well. So I think if we can get on a plan with that, we'll be good.
Okay. Scott, same question.
I agree to a point exactly what Ms. Bounds was saying. We need to make sure that we're using the highest and best use for all of our land that's remaining out there. Right now, Mansfield is about 36 square miles. There's an additional 14 square miles out in the ETJ that could be annexed into the city. By build out, we could be over 200,000 people. That's a couple of years, 20 years off before we ever get to that point. But we need to make decisions now to make sure that we're using our current land and planning for that future land for the highest and best. creating urban cores, mixed use opportunities for walkable retail, services that will help provide amenities to our high quality neighborhoods.
Okay. Skeeter.
I have to agree with actually both of them. I mean, it's so true. We only have a limited amount of land right now. So whoever's going to bring us the most bang for the buck kind of thing is what we need to see and see what they're going to offer to the economy for us and what it's going to do for our citizens, what it's going to do for the younger generation, with the job that can continue on with them and that can stay here and still afford the housing that we have. Because the housing here is not really that cheap. You know what I'm saying? You have to have pretty good business or have a pretty good salary to get it. So we need to see what they can do to help those, not millennials, whatever we're going to call them now, to see what to make sure they stay here with their kids. Yeah.
Okay. Todd, in a growing community such as Mansfield, continuing to provide essential city services such as infrastructure, police and fire protection, and enhanced quality of life initiatives becomes imperative. How do you propose to accomplish this while continuing the efforts of our current council to lower property taxes?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, not being in executive sessions, I'm not sure exactly what we have on the books that's coming. There's a lot we don't know as candidates. So I will tell you, is like Scott said, 200,000 people in 20 years, I think it's going to happen a lot quicker than that. And I don't care if you're growing a business or a city, your expenses are going to go up during growth periods. So, you know, infrastructure is going to increase. Everything's going up. Police, fire, we got to have more of it. So, you know, you can finance some of that growth. The growth will finance some of that tax increase. But I do think that, you know, we got to be smart about what we do as far as reducing taxes. I mean, I'm all for reducing taxes. I promise you I pay my fair share, but I don't want to reduce them at the expense of police, fire, utilities, parks.
Time.
So.
Okay. Phil?
Yeah, I would agree that the city services have got to come first. They've got to be fully funded, and they have to continue without interruption. So, you know, I'm for putting them right up front as far as budget goes. And in terms of, you know, having enough tax to cover that, I think it's an exercise that we need to go in and find the areas of, for lack of a better word, waste, and find areas where we're not spending as wisely as we could. And I think that takes some real deep data analysis, which, you know, isn't fun work, but it's something I spent my career doing in audit and compliance. So, you know, digging real deep, finding where you can save. And I think if you do that exercise, I think you can still get the taxes down and fully fund all those services.
Okay. All right, next question, Tamara. Why do you want to be on council? And what do you consider the primary responsibility of a city council member?
I want to be on the council. I have been a part of this community, working with city council members, staff, the citizens of Mansfield for nearly a decade. And so I think I would bring some good research and some good analytical skills to the council, which is one of my strengths with that. And quite frankly, over the past years, some of my proposals have actually become policy. So I would like to continue that voice. I think our main responsibilities are, first and foremost, is to manage the city manager. And what I mean by that is to check his job performance, make sure that financially things are going the way that they need to be going, make sure that he's representing the city wisely and appropriately. I also feel like we need to make good decisions on our land use. And we need to make sure we're setting our taxes appropriately.
Okay.
I'll just pick up where Tamara stopped there. The four main things for the council to perform is manage the city manager, hire and fire, to approve and deny land use policy or variances or permits, to set a balanced budget, for what the city has just done. The reasons that I'm running for city council is because I love my city. I've been a member here. I moved to Mansfield in 2001 with my wife. We now have 5 children, 2 of which are adopted. And Mansfield provides a lot of opportunity for us as residents and as homeowners, and an incredible community to be with. And I want to give back. And people will ask me, why are you running? What do you want to fix? And I tell them, I'm not running to fix anything. There's nothing wrong that I'm running for. I'm running for everything that's right. It's all the time that I've served on the Parks Board. It's all the community groups that I've been part of that want me to be part of.
Do you want me to start the video
Peter?
still?
At the end of the day, we're all for the same thing. We want the best.
I mean, it's completely.
We want the best for our citizens.
Wait, here's the thing. I don't.
The reason I want to be on city council is because I think it's only fair to say that some of the people
If not, we're in no big hurry.
use city council to benefit them. It really needs to be benefited for the citizens and for the people to come. The city manager deal, I agree with that 100%.
A piece of it.
But I want to be on council to make a difference in this town because I'm tired of it just going. It's like it's growing, which is great, but we've lost all of our values. Everybody wants to line their pockets versus trying to help the city out, and help out with the taxes, and help out with all this. I mean, I'm all about the taxes and stuff, but I don't want to sacrifice the quality
I
of
need to go through it.
life or safety of the people here.
I'm like a prime
We need to
example
do
of
something to
it.
work on that issue as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that I asked of one side. I'm going to ask of the other now. So I'm going to go to, this time we're going to start with Phil. We're going to start on this end. So Phil, I'm going to ask this question for you. There's only so much land left, okay? So let's talk about that. Once it's gone, it's gone. What's your vision on how that remaining land should be developed?
Yeah, well, I think we heard a lot of great answers to that already, and I do agree that it's extremely important. It's a finite resource at this point, and we do have to pay attention to it. So I think the term, best bang for the buck, somebody utilized, and I think that's right. It's going to be a balance between, needing housing to fulfill residents' needs and to also build the tax base. Versus businesses that may provide goods or services that our residents want. And so it's going to be a balancing act. And I think, again, I'll just go back to doing the due diligence and looking at the data and really spending the time to make those decisions and understand without it being just a personal feeling or something of that nature. And I'll agree that I think some of that goes on today as well, and I'd like to eliminate that.
Yeah, I'll agree with Phil. I will say that I think we're running out of time. In saying that, we've only got very limited land left, and unfortunately for us, we have competitors on both ends. We have Grand Prairie touching us at 360 and 287, and they're very aggressive. We have Arlington on the north side. So I think we got one more chance of getting this right. I'd like to see us get it right and get it right quick. Get the right retail, high-end retail in here. We need some corporate settings in here where our kids have salary jobs versus hourly jobs. So we need parks, nice parks in that area. And, as far as the residential, high-end, middle of the road residential. Let's face it, guys. We're in a metropolitan area. It's not cheap to live here. It's just not. But we need to. So.
Okay, so back on this side, we're going to start with you, Skeeter. And the question I'm going to ask the three of you is, what, in your opinion, is the single most pressing issue facing the city, and how do you propose to address it? And then how are you going to work with the other members in order to achieve that vision?
I think the single most pressing issue is our taxes that everybody's complaining about and everybody's wanting to do something with. The way that I would do with it is that we would find out the biggest issue, that's what I feel is one of the biggest issues, and then we would have to address it. And what we have to do is we'd all have to come to a decision and get with council and get with people that own businesses and what can we do to help you and how can you help us and certain stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, we need them and they need us, you know? So I think that would be one of the main things that we need to do is focus on that part.
Okay.
If we have to consolidate it down to one word, I'm going to say growth. We've already talked about that quite a bit. Next 20 years, maybe even less to get to build out point. And there's a lot of small pieces that go into that. We've got things like residential and commercial parks. There's a lot of facets to that piece and a lot of people concerned with apartments and multifamily density dwellings. I feel that as council, we need to work with staff to develop a comprehensive citywide plan that will update the land use plan from 2012, that will work with the updated ordinances that have been in place. Also go alongside with the 10-year master plan that the Parks Department is finalizing right now. To ensure that we're all on the same page, we need to have a plan. I've been in the IT industry for almost 30 years now. I can summarize my job as a solution provider and meeting expectations. Having that plan allows us to do those things.
Tamara?
Well, I can piggyback off of all that's been said with that. I think that we have already made some good strides and set some things in place for the taxes. And I think that if I get on the council, that we need to continue looking at those things. I think that it's a combination of I'm from planning and zoning, so I'm just gonna have to say, I come from it from a land use piece. And we're almost built out. What does that look like? Who we're going to bring here? But I also piggyback off of what Todd says about business. It is true that we need to be recruiting good business in here and competitive business in here that will bring good jobs and good paying jobs so that those people can live here and they can also participate in buying goods here and contributing to our local economy. So I'm going to want to know what MEDC can do with that. I know that the Chamber of Commerce has worked on some things as well for that.
Okay. All right, I'm going to ask a question because I hear a lot of you are agreeing with each other on things. So I'm going to go around the room on this one. Same question for all of you. And I want 2 minutes on the clock for each one of them, Joni. And so, Phil, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
I want to know the difference between you and your opponent. Why you? Why should we vote for you?
So why should you vote for me? Well, I think I have a representative voice of what I'll call a normal citizen and normal resident of Mansfield. I have kids active in the district. I moved to Mansfield because of the school district, because of the sense of community. My wife and I came here in 2005 when she was pregnant with our first child. And we made that decision, based on what we understood Mansfield was as a community and what the district is. I don't operate a business in town. I don't have any properties in town. I have no interest other than making the city better for myself and all the other residents.
Well, I think it's simple. I think whenever you're trying to grow something, you need leadership and vision. So you need someone that's actually done that. I think, you need guys like Phil once you get there. Once we get built out, then he's the guy. But as far as Bill, I'm a builder. I'm the guy that's going to bring business in here and try to build. I'm the guy that's employing people in town. I'm the guy that's responsible for multiple families in town and their children.
Like, wow.
So, again, the reason I'm sitting here is because of my children and my grandchildren.
I got another light.
I'm perfectly fine myself. So I think whenever you're talking about going from 82,000 people to 200,000, we got to have people with vision. And there's no better people to recruit businesses in here than business people. So, again, I'm strictly coming at this from a business. I'm not analytical. I'm not an accountant like Phil. But the city has those, and we need some of those on council. And if we were a town that was maxed out, we would need all of them. That's all we would need. But right now, we need people with vision and leadership skills.
I mean, lighting is
Here?
I have to back a little bit of Todd right there. I mean, I agree, we need that, but we also need somebody, why I would want to be on the council, why I think you should vote for me is that, first of all, I've been here since 71, so I've seen a lot of changes, a lot of things come, a lot of things go, a lot of things didn't work, a lot of things did work. But once that's there, but the thing is like Todd's a builder, he wants to build it, but see, you need somebody out there to go sell it. You got to sell the city of Mansfield. You got to sell it to these corporations. You got to sell it to these big companies to come to Mansfield, not to go to Grand Prairie, not to go to Arlington, not to go to Fort Worth. You want to bring them here. And I've been selling for 30 something years. I mean, I'm pretty good at sales. And I think that's a real good thing that we need to do and focus on is to bring the businesses here. And like Todd said, if you're a business owner, you know what it's like to have to balance a budget or to have to make, rob Peter to pay Paul, whatever you have to do to make it happen for your employees, for you and everybody else, you know how to do that. Only business owners know how to do that. I feel only business owners know how to do that because you get out there and you work for so-and-so and work for so-and-so, but you don't see their bottom numbers. You don't know what their P&Ls look like. You have no clue what's being shuffled around so you can get paid or you can get paid or you can get paid, And just like Todd said, I mean, I employ a lot of people too. I have a lot of families that work here in this town. I have a lot of people that work for me, and they all live in this town. I'd say 80% of them live in this town, and that I employ them and their family.
Great. So what distinguishes me from other people in my race, I've got a young family. I've got 5 children, like I mentioned. 2 of them are adopted. They don't look like me. There's some diversity in my family, and I think I have a better understanding or a different understanding than others might be when it comes to diverse needs. I've lived here for 15 years. I haven't been around as long as Skeeter has, 71?
71, yeah.
But I originally moved here in 2001. And so I have a different perspective of Mansfield. I have much more of a younger Mansfield perspective. I'm actively serving on a board. I serve on the Parks Board, the Mansfield Parks Facilities Development Corporation, where we set up budgets. I'm used to the budgeting cycle within the city. We have to provide a budget 60 days before the city budget is done, and so we know how to get that done. I also set up budgets at work, not to the extent of the city budget, but more than the parks budget. So I'm not a stranger to budgeting, especially in terms of the city. I'm not a business owner. I'm a different, unique perspective onto the council. I do think that it is important to have diversity on that council to provide different insight, and we don't need all of one thing to live there. I recognize that I'm one of 7 votes on the council, and while others could sway and work, my opinion, I feel like I can do the same with others. I'm a team player. I can recognize what other people have to say and what value they bring to the table. I also feel that my IT background is a considerable strength for the current council. We have some realtors, we have some business owners, but we don't have anybody who looks at things objectively in a process improvement way or in a technology mindset to provide value for our city and community.
Tamara?
Well, I have been for nearly a decade working, like I said earlier, with staff, with city council, with Mansfield citizens on and multiple boards and commissions. I've been on P&Z, I've been on the Capital Improvement Advisory Board. I was co-chair of the Construction Codes Board of Adjustments and Appeals. I've been on the Tree Board. Being on P&Z taught me a lot about land use, but being active in the community and working with all the council and staff has taught me a lot about budgeting as well. I've been to the work sessions, given my 2 cents on it. I've been to the council meetings and I've spoke at citizens' comments and I've given my 2 cents worth into all of that. And I'm happy to say that I've been listened to at that level. And some of my ideas and proposals, as I said earlier, have become policy. And so I just want to say, folks, at the basic level, that's building our future together. I mean, at its greatest level. And so I think that I bring that knowledge. I've gone back in and I've looked. I've been in those committees. I've scrubbed, I've watched, I've talked, I've brought new things to the council. And as a community, being an HOA president, I've worked with my citizens as well with that. And as in the healthcare industry, I've worked with several multi-million-dollar healthcare operators to be able to manage people, to be able to budget, look at strategic planning, look at all of our strengths and weaknesses for all of that. So I bring that as well. Mostly though, I bring things like looking through the lens of opportunity for those things that we can do to meet our challenges.
All right, this is going to be the last question. I've heard a couple of you mention vision. We are definitely in a pivotal place, the city is. There is getting ready to be massive changes in a lot of different things, especially with all the growth. So this is more from a philosophical standpoint. I want to know what your, what does that vision mean to you? When you say that, when you're looking at this from a 30,000 square foot view, what do you see? Phil?
I see, the same community that I live in today, I guess fully formed, fully built out, safe, sound, secure, opportunities for its residents, both personally. We've mentioned the park system. There's probably even some more that we can do there. Opportunities for them to get out, to enjoy themselves, and business opportunities as well. However that may appear. I'm not so sure that I agree with the large corporation idea that has kind of come around a couple of times, and whether that's a good fit for us. But my vision is that Mansfield continues to thrive and prosper as it has. And in order to do that, we have to carefully manage what we've all talked about, the growth, the taxes, all of these things. It can't just be let's just go forward and let it all get built out without spending a lot of time analyzing how we do that. We're close. We're not in our infancy, looking to blow out growth, a lot. We just need to kind of get to the end of the road here and finish out what we've got left. The land use is important for that, right? We've heard that. But again, overall, my vision is that Mansfield continues to thrive, be a great place for families to live.
Okay, where do I put this stamp that I don't?
Yeah, I agree with Phil. Skeeter too, as far as, I think Mansfield's a very easy sell. One thing that I get really frustrated on is when our children, our educated children, we have one of the best school districts in the state.
It's gonna cover
The second safest city in Texas. If you can't sell that, then, come on. So, I'm tired of hearing about Frisco and South Lake, and I'm tired of our educated children. We send them off to universities and they come back and it's bad. Mansfield's where mom and dad live. We want to live in Fort Worth or Dallas or Frisco or South Lake. We've got to change that. Because these are the young people that can afford to buy the houses that we need them to buy and spend the money to support the high-end retail. And we've got to change that dynamic. So that's my vision. I mean, it's going to be a challenge. We've got to somehow reverse that. We're turning into a major medical community. And we all know what major medical communities look like. We're going to eventually have a lot older population, which is more fixed income. So that we need that younger crowd back in here, more involved in our community. And that is really, I think, our challenge. And let me just say one last thing. I think everybody here is what's so cool about this city is everybody here brings something different. It's a shame we can't all be on there. Because, and I respect each and every one of you guys for even wanting to get involved. Because our kids need it and our grandkids need it in a big way. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I think so. On the vision of it, I see just kind of like what Todd was talking about. I mean, I want Mansfield to be back on Living Magazine, where it's one of the best places to live. We haven't been on there in quite some time. And what we need to do is bring the children that we have now and that their children want to stay in Mansfield and to continue after, back in the long time ago when Mansfield was here, people had farms, right? It was the farmer's farm, and then the kids stayed on the farm and this and that. That's all gone now. Like you said, mom and dad live in Mansfield, I don't live in that little town and this and that. I'd like to have that back. You know what I'm saying? My son wants to live in Mansfield. He can't afford it right now because of the apartments are a little too high for him and what he gets paid and this and that. But he wants to live here too because he wants to follow the legacy, just like I'm following my father's legacy. He was a cattleman here in town. So what do I have now? Now I have cattle here in town, And so I want to continue on with that, and I want my son to continue on, and then my grandchildren. I can wait on the grandkids. I'll rush for that, but the rest of it I'm good. But that's what I see as a vision, and that everybody wants to live in Mansfield, wants to be here. This is the place they want to come. They want to shop here. They want to support here. They want to do everything they can here. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with Skeeter. I'm not rushing the grandkids. Someday, but not right now. My vision is to ensure that the people of Mansfield, the community, is put first, that there's not an objective that's put in front of the needs of the people. I feel like one of the biggest challenges that we have right now is, it's not an identity complex, but it's what do we want to be when we grow up? And Skeeter has a great idea about having farm and cattle. I'd love to see some Class A office space for opportunities for higher paying jobs. I'd love to see there to be a technology mogul just move into town and have a great office space. And right now we have one Class A office space. And it'd be great to have some nice opportunities for other people to move here. Just talking about what Todd was talking about. And I feel like working with the other members of the council is that vision. We all need to get onto the same page and have a good understanding about what we want that identity to be. We don't have to agree on everything, right? But we do need to get along. And we need to, once something is approved and move forward, we all need to be champions of that idea. I think there's probably been plenty throughout the years that the city has done that at the moment we did not think were the best things for our city to move forward with. But over time, we've learned to accept those, and we've become cheerleaders for those things.
Well, I have 11 grandkids. Awesome.
Congratulations.
So I agree with what everyone has said here about our challenges. What do we want to be when we grow up? But I think that part of the vision would have some kind of inkling of what we want to be when we grow up. So do we still want to be a bedroom community, or do we want to be a thriving area? We need to be a destination in some of our areas like downtown Mansfield. It should be a destination where people are coming to. But that goes back to sitting down with each council member and the people, because at the end of the day, it is what the people want to pay for, what they want their taxes to go for, what they want to see here in the city because they live here, they spend their dollars here. We need to look at maintaining our schools at good caliber levels. We need to make sure we're culturally friendly as well as diversified. We need some good housing choices here. We need expansion of our parks so that people can enjoy them. We need to embrace more pedestrian like venues, more safety with that, bike riding, access to good jobs, and the roads that carry people to those good jobs. I mean, our infrastructure with our roads could be better with that. And access to healthcare facilities, and we've got some of that as well here in Mansfield. Access to good shopping, like what Todd said, some good high quality shopping and good restaurant quality here. But that goes back to listening to what the people are asking for, what we're willing to find the balance for, what we can recruit here and brainstorm things off of each other, off of the strengths that we have as a team to look at that and ask our staff, to go out and look at those things as well. So we have to be very collaborative on that.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for participating. I know that there are a couple more opportunities for this. And Todd, I agree. I think it's wonderful that you guys are willing to go through the process. So thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
All right.